Hey guys, I apologize for being late with today's report, but as you can tell, I'm still not feeling well. It was 3 weeks ago today that I first tested positive, and I'm still testing positive for COVID. Yes, COVID, the gift that keeps on giving at Christmas, especially if you're immunocompromised. So I think today's report is actually being brought to you by Augmentin 875, the drug of choice when you've had pneumonia 7 or 8 times in your life. Prednisone, when you have to take those little steroids to get you wound up. Hey, albuterol, 2 puffs before you start your video report, and you'll start feeling somewhat better. Brio, 100. Yes, take 2 puffs every single night to clear up your lungs. And of course, Brukenza, the drug that keeps my leukemia hopefully at bay a little longer. And thank you, Blue Cross, for finally picking up that $15,000 bill a month after the drug company had to pick up the tab for the first year that I was on that beautiful little drug. So that's where I'm standing here this morning. Listen, with the complimentary plays here in the NFL, 41 and 21 over the past 11 weeks with the plays I'm giving away. The big game that I'm going to talk about today is going to be the key game at 1 o'clock Eastern time with the Ravens and the Dolphins. Of course, at stake is going to be the number one seed in the AFC for the upcoming playoffs. As for me, I have another Raise the Bar 29 release. It's number 5 out of 6 this season in the NFL. It is one of the games going at 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's my 13-point mismatch, and it is the half price play of the day with the coupon code HALF, HALF. Now listen, I don't pull any punches here. I won my first 4, and then I lost number 5 in a row last Monday night with the Ravens. And I'm going to talk about that game here in just a moment. So not bad. 4 out of 5. I can live with 4 out of 5. I didn't think I'd win every single one of them. So number 5 out of 6 goes today. And again, it's the half price play of the day. And that brings me to the complimentary play. So let's get right to it with Baltimore and Miami. I looked at that game. You looked at that game. You saw what happened. Props to the Ravens. They beat the hell out of San Francisco. But sometimes taking away from that game, did the 49ers lose the game in combination to the Ravens winning the game? I mean, Brock Purdy personally delivered that game to the Ravens with the 4 costly interceptions, 3 of them in the first half. At that point, when the 49ers got down, the Ravens just pinned back their ears and come at Purdy relentlessly, and their defense took over. I know they've won 9 out of 10 games straight up. However, I keep thinking about that one game they lost in that stretch, which is when they allowed the Browns with Deshaun Watson to come back and beat them with a huge fourth quarter rally. I also remember how the Rams a few weeks ago in the rain made a game of it, rallied, forced overtime, and if not for a special teams failure, Baltimore's defense played miserably that day, but they escaped with the win. So there have been some hiccups along the way. With all that being said, however, I have to go with the Ravens here, minus 3.5 points, because I think this is an incredibly cheap price. I am surprised that Baltimore isn't laying more wood in this contest. When the lines came out, were you shocked that Baltimore wasn't 6 or 7? 3.5 seems exceptionally cheap. Naturally, I'm buying down the half point in this situation with the Ravens if this line is anywhere between 3 and 4.5 points. And I know Miami has been a great play this season. I know Miami has been playing well. I know Miami beat Dallas last week, but a couple of things about that. The Dolphins beat the Cowboys, needed a last-second field goal to do so. But we saw again last night how poorly the Cowboys have been playing, coming up the back-to-back road losses, and they should have really lost that game perhaps to the Lions last night if for not a poor 1 or 2 official calls. And the Dolphins are going to be shorthanded today with Jalen Waddle, who is their number 2 receiver, as you know, with 70 catches for over 1,000 yards today. And you have to wonder, is Tyreek Hill, who missed a game a couple of weeks ago because of that ankle injury and then returned last week against the Cowboys, had a nice game statistically, but you know he's not at 100%. Is that going to hurt their offense today? So, with all that being said, I still think Baltimore is a very cheap price. Now, the Ravens have a couple of injuries as well. Their standout safety, Kyle Hamilton, re-aggravated a knee injury against the 49ers. and he was listed as questionable after missing some practice time this week. And their cornerback, starting cornerback, Steven, did not practice on Thursday or Friday. Who knows what his status will be going into this game and how productive he will be. Their number one receiver, Zay Flowers, 74 receptions, limited practice on Friday. Who knows what's going to go on there? So, Baltimore, injuries as well, but I still like the Ravens at this exceptionally cheap price in this contest. So, that's the way I would play it, and that's my favorite game on the board. I looked at some other games, and probably on the late card, the game that intrigued me most was Pittsburgh and Seattle. You have two teams that are coming off big wins last week. Seattle rallying late, just as they did the week before with Drew Lock at quarterback against Philadelphia in that Monday night game. This time it was Geno Smith with the 227-yard, two-touchdown performance, the game-winning 5-yard touchdown pass with a minute left to win at Tennessee. You had the Steelers turning to Mason Rudolph because you and I weren't available, and Rudolph coming out of nowhere to go 17 for 27, 290 yards and two touchdowns in that easy win against the Bengals as the Steelers swept the season series. You now have the Steelers going cross country. You have them taking on a Seattle team that probably is going to get DK Metcalf back today, may not have Darnell Walker III, their number one running back, available today because of the oblique injury. Definitely going to be without Jamal Adams for a third straight week. Originally, I thought take Seattle minus the points in this spot. It was 3.5 a couple of days ago. It's now up to 4.5 at most of your books, really 4.5 most places. And, I keep thinking about how the Titans last week against Seattle, a team that has not been able to run the ball effectively all season long, ran for 160 yards against Seattle. And this is a Seattle team that hasn't been able to stop the run all season long. The offensive coordinator, as you know, for the Steelers, since they fired Matt Canada, is their former running backs coach now, Mike Sullivan. Since he has taken over the play calling, he has called Najee Harris's number more, and Harris has responded with nearly 15 totes a game, averaging a little over 60 yards. And they've got Jaylen Warren, the number 2 back, who on the season has been very productive, averaging 45 yards a game and 5.3 yards per carry. So Seattle's going to attack on the ground that soft underbelly of the Seattle defense. But then you have to say to yourself, was Mason Rudolph a flash in the pan last week for a Seattle offense that has looked so bad all season? First with Canada calling the plays, with Kenny Pickett at quarterback, with Mitch Trubisky's quarterback, but it looked good for 1 week against Cincinnati's poor defense? I mean, there's just so many variables. So initially I thought Seattle was to play 3.5. Now I'm vacillating and I'm going, wow, I could take Pittsburgh 4.5. So, when I sit here and I vacillate about a pick, I know it's not a good pick. So why would I tell you to go with it? Then the other game on the late card that I was thinking about is you've got Kansas City, a team coming off a third straight loss last week at home to the Raiders. Now they're taking on the Bengals, a team that utterly collapsed last week as the Jake Browning magic disappeared at Pittsburgh. What is the difference between the Bengals and the Raiders? The Raiders aggressively pressured Patrick Mahomes. The Bengals can't do that. The other thing that the Raiders were able to do in getting the pressure on Mahomes, where the Bengals aren't going to be able to do, is that the Raiders were able to bottle up the run against the Chiefs. I don't believe the Bengals are going to be able to do that with DJ Reader, their big run-stuffing defensive tackle who suffered a season-ending injury a couple weeks ago, are going to be able to stop the Chiefs. Now, are the Chiefs going to be wise enough to put the ball in their running backs' hands and plow the field on the ground? Therein lies the question. I think Kansas City is a good play today. I think the Chiefs rebound against a Bengals team that has so many holes defensively and can get it done. But the Chiefs' offense is broken. It's clear that this is not a Kansas City team that you've been waiting on week after week after week. You know as well as I do, you've been saying sooner or later, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, that offense is going to explode. They're going to break out. They're going to have that magical 40-point game. It ain't going to happen, guys. There's only 2 games left in the season. So maybe you say to yourself, well, geez, can I put Kansas City in a teaser? How would that have worked out last week? You could take Kansas City down to pick them at home. But who are you going to put them with? Do you feel comfortable taking San Francisco minus the points, minus the touchdown at Washington? Not me. Do you feel Philadelphia, a team that is also broken offensively and defensively, today, taking them at home from 12 and a half, and a 7-point teaser down to 5.5 against Arizona? I'm the biggest Eagles fan here among us. I don't feel comfortable doing that either. The Rams, who I've been riding religiously the last few weeks, 5 straight wins, playing great ball. I don't know about the Rams today. I don't feel that comfortable taking them down to pick them against the Giants because I just don't know if the magic is finally going to be gone from the Rams today. There's nobody else on the card that I would even be interested teasing them with. Buffalo? Buffalo? They were lucky to win against the Chargers last week. And you know how the Patriots had their number in the first go round. And the Patriots over the years, no matter who has been quarterbacking, has always owned this series, especially in Buffalo. So do you feel comfortable taking the Bills down to 7 and a 2-team 7-point teaser? So the Chiefs are out there on an island. You play them or you don't. So again, I come back to my original proposition. Excuse me, my voice is just about done here. So my lone free selection today, you ride the Ravens, and that's it. The Chiefs, yeah, that would probably be my second play, but that's just a hunch. So your official free play is the Ravens. Guys, more importantly, listen, Happy New Year to you all. I wish you nothing but the best for 2024. May it be prosperous, and it's okay to be profitable too. Good luck, everybody, and talk to you again tomorrow because finally, we have a couple of bowl games that actually matter. Because as you know, I've treated these games as even worse than NFL preseason games. That's how meaningless they have all been and worthless from a betting perspective. But again, we have the Final Four tomorrow, and those are worth talking about. I'll talk to you again then. Good luck, everybody.